Hi there, welcome to the ultimate guide to Google Adwords Quality Score. The Adventure Media Group was founded a few years ago to help small to medium-sized businesses maximize the efficiency and profitability of their online marketing campaigns. We work with a large number of companies from New York to Australia all the way to Tel Aviv. We've learned a huge amount along the way, and this presentation calls from a highly diverse database that spans many different industries. Our hope is that you could take some of what we've learned and use it to improve your own campaigns. You can find us at www.adventureppc.com. You can call us at 516-218-3722. Or you can reach out to us anytime at info@adventureppc.com. This course took a lot of time and effort to put together, on many people's parts. And if you ever so kindly share it to your social networks, it will not only help out your friends and family, but it will be tremendously helpful to us as well. I'm not asking that you share it now, wait until the video's over. But if you feel you've gained from the show, sharing is super easy and super helpful, so we really appreciate it. We've got a lot of fun stuff to cover, so without any hesitation, I'll hand you over to one of our co-founders, Isaac Rudansky, and we'll dive right in.
Hey guys, I'm Isaac Rudansky, one of the co-founders of the Adventure Media Group. If you've watched our beginner's AdWords tutorial and now you're back for a more advanced lesson, welcome back. If this is your first time joining us, welcome aboard, and I do hope you find the presentation useful. I really encourage you to leave any comments or questions you may have below. I do check the conversations regularly, and I'll be sure to get back to you. I also use your feedback to decide what tutorial to develop next, so if there's any sort of PPC or online advertising training you'd like to see, drop a line below and we'll see what we can do. The ideas we'll be discussing here have saved our clients literally hundreds of thousands of advertising dollars, and I have no doubt you'll be able to save yourself money as you learn how to identify and repair quality score issues in your own accounts. Let's just get an overview of what we're going to eventually cover in much greater detail. First, we'll take a conceptual look at quality score, what it really is and why it came to be in the first place. Second, we'll take a closer look at how quality score actually works, what it's comprised of, and why it's so important. We'll then learn some very cool tips and tricks for diagnosing and identifying quality score issues in your account, and this part is especially helpful for larger accounts. And finally, we'll learn exactly what you can do to fix low quality scores and make sure they continue to improve over time. At the very end, we'll go over some popular quality score myths and rumors and see which ones are actually true and which ones are total hogwash. It may seem like a lot of material, but all the essential elements are really quite simple. And once you have a handle on your quality score, you and your account will be one very happy camper indeed. So, what is quality score anyway? In order to first understand what quality score is and how it came to be, it's important to first understand what Google is at its most fundamental level. Essentially, Google is a massive referral service. People come to Google looking for referrals. When people need to find something on the internet, they ask Google where they could find it. They ask Google this question by typing a query into the Google search box, and Google provides them websites that hopefully contain the information Google's customer, you, was looking for. So it stands to reason, from a business perspective, that Google cares a great deal how relevant their suggestions or referrals are to their customers. The more closely a web page that Google refers you to provides the information you're looking for, the better experience you're going to have. The better experience you have when using Google's referral service, the more likely you'll be to come back again in the future and use Google to find information on the internet again. If Google sent you to a website that offered PowerPoint tips when you were searching for somewhere to buy power strips, you might not use Google as frequently in the future, and worse, you might even begin using another search engine like Bing or Yahoo. It especially stands to reason, then, that Google also cares a great deal about this same sort of relevancy when it comes to the ads they show their users. Ads that are shown above their organic search results. Ads that are the bread and butter of their business model, accounting for more than 97% of their total revenue. So AdWords Quality Score, stripped of any technical jargon, is Google's way of ensuring that their customers have the same high-quality referral experience with a paid ad as they do with an organic result. Now that we understand what Quality Score aims to do at a conceptual level, let's take a closer look at how Quality Score actually works, how it's calculated, and what it's comprised of. One of the first numbers you need to be familiar with is something called ad rank. Your ad rank is just a number that determines what ad slot your ad will show in. The advertiser with the highest ad rank gets their ad in the very top ad slot on the search engine results page, or SERP. Your ad rank is calculated in a live auction every single time a search is performed on Google. The question is, how does Google calculate your ad rank? Great question. Let's take a closer look at how ad rank was calculated in the pre-Quality Score era. Quality Score was introduced in 2005, and up until then, the AdWords auction was a really simple thing. The only thing that really mattered was your max cost per click, or CPC, for any given keyword. Or in other words, how much you told Google you were willing to pay for an ad click triggered by a specific query. Let's take a look at an example auction. Let's say Brad, Ben, and Brett all run online shops that specialize in custom-tailored men's briefs. Each of them tell Google to show their ads when someone searches for bespoke men's briefs. That'll be our keyword. Brad sets his max CPC for that keyword at $3, Ben sets his max CPC at $2, and Brett's only willing to pay about $1.50 per click for that specific keyword. So back in the early days, Brad would win the top ad slot, or position 1, since he had the highest max bid. Ben would take the second spot, and Brett would take the third spot. Not to confuse matters that are no longer relevant, but click-through rate, or CTR, did in fact play a role in the ad rank calculation before Quality Score was introduced. Actual ad rank took into account a keyword's click-through rate, since a keyword with a very high bid but no clicks was not only obviously not relevant to users, but it also wasn't making Google any money, no matter how much an advertiser was willing to pay for that click. What's important to know now is that before Quality Score came along, the highest ad rank was essentially awarded to the highest bidder. But once Quality Score was introduced, everything changed, and things got a whole lot trickier. So as we saw in the previous example, calculating ad rank based solely on max CPC bid did very little in the way of ensuring a high-quality user experience with paid ads. As long as your advertising pockets were deep enough, you could place first on the results page with highly irrelevant ads and shoddy websites you were sending clicks to. Google, being a premier search engine and not the local penny saver, didn't want, for example, an insurance company running an extensive branding campaign and showing their ads to users on non-insurance related queries. While those ads may have been profitable for the advertiser in the long run, they disrupted the streamlined and highly controlled environment Google wanted to provide its own customers. So taking those considerations into account, Google introduced Quality Score in 2005. Before we talk about the Quality Score equation, there's a couple more worthwhile things to note. The first thing worth understanding is that every single keyword in your account has a Quality Score rated on a 10-point scale. Here's what your Quality Score columns look like in the actual AdWords account. Quality Score is hidden by default, but you can find it by clicking on Columns, Customize Columns, Attributes, and adding Quality Score. You could drag and rearrange your columns as you see fit. I'll move it up here in front of clicks, hit apply to save these columns, and now you can see your Quality Score along with your keywords in the account. We'll come back and spend a lot more time in the actual accounts later, but here's just an idea of where your Quality Score shows up and what it looks like. You can see historical Quality Score data from within your AdWords account. In other words, you can only see what your Quality Score is now, not what it was yesterday or how it changed over time. There are some great third-party tools and AdWords scripts that you can run to collect this data, and we'll talk more about that later on. While Google themselves never confirmed that an internal account-level quality score exists, it's generally accepted that your overall account has a quality score that in some way or other impacts your overall performance. In any case, the better your keyword-level quality score is, the better your account-level quality score is going to be. Display network quality score is another murky area, and it's known that improving your click-through rate on any non-search campaigns will improve the efficiency of your display campaigns as well. For our purposes here, we'll be focusing on the tangible quality score data that our account actually presents us, keyword-level quality score, on the search network only. Let's dig a little deeper now and take a closer look at the individual components of quality score. There are four main factors that Google considers when calculating keyword-level quality score on the search network. Click-through rate is the number one most important of them all. There are a number of important details to discuss here, and we'll get back to them shortly. The second factor is the relevance between the keyword and the actual ad text. The third factor is the relevance between the keyword that triggered the ad impression and the actual query the user typed into the Google search box. And the fourth factor is what we'll call landing page relevance. Let's take a closer look at each of these factors individually. Click-through rate can be thought of as the people's court. And when thought of that way, it makes a lot of sense from a logical perspective why CTR is the most important factor in determining your quality score for any given keyword. While algorithms can do a great job at a lot of things, they still can't assess human appeal as well as humans can. And essentially, a keyword's actual click-through rate tells us how appealing your keyword and ad combination is to actual people using Google search. Just to clarify, your CTR is calculated by dividing the number of clicks a keyword has received by that keyword's number of impressions and then multiplying that by 100 to get the percentage. So for example, a keyword with 279 clicks and 10,546 impressions has a quality score of 2.6%. You take the 0.026, multiply that by 100, and you get 2.6. And that's your CTR. In other words, 2.6% of the people who see an ad triggered by that keyword actually clicked on it. It goes without saying that the higher the CTR, the higher your quality score will be. Now at this point you may have a few questions. First, you might be wondering, what's a good CTR? Well, unfortunately, there's no real answer to that question. There are so many variables that go into every unique circumstance that it's impossible to know what type of CTR you should be aiming for, and what type of CTR is normal for your industry and for your keywords. Oftentimes, you'll be running a broad match keyword and aiming for a lower spot in the page, in which case you'll probably get a lower CTR than if you were bidding more aggressively on a phrase or exact match keyword and targeting a higher position on the page. That leads us to your next two questions. A, how does Google know what a good CTR is? And B, how does Google calculate this part of my quality score for brand new keywords with no click-through rate data? Well, the answer is that Google pulls from its enormous database of historic data to get ballpark figures for what your CTRs should look like in your industry for your keywords and for your specific bids. You also know that ads in lower positions on the page typically get lower CTRs, and you may be wondering if Google penalizes your quality score for poorer click-through rates due to a lower position. The good news is that quality score is normalized by ad position, which means that Google understands that CTRs will inevitably vary based on position, and Google does assess your ad's position when determining the health of your click-through rate. It's also worth mentioning that Google tracks your display URL click-through rates for each ad in an ad group and incorporates that into your keyword level CTR portion of your quality score. Because of that, it's always a good idea to get in the habit of testing different display URLs within an ad group to see which ones yield the best CTRs. We've been talking a great deal about relevance, and the relevance between your keywords and ad copy is a really important thing. Google knows that in order for your ad to be relevant to the user, the text of your ad should talk about the themes your keywords represent. Often people make the mistake of stuffing their keywords into their ad copy numerous times, but that's really not what Google's looking for. Google wants to see ad text that is thematically related to the keywords in that ad group. For example, if your keywords are Canon printer repair, online computer help, and hard drive retrieval, for example, it's okay to have ad text that talks about online tech support, even though it doesn't necessarily include all your actual keywords. To be safe though, it's always a good practice to try and include the main keywords in your headline or the first description line of the ad. When we talk about repair and quality score later, we'll go over ways to ensure ad text and keyword relevancy in greater detail. Remember, it's completely fine if different ad groups have completely different keywords and ads altogether. As long as the keywords and ads in each particular ad group are reflective of one another, there won't be any issues. The sentence, phrase, term, or question a user types into the Google search box is referred to as a query. So whereas your keywords trigger ad impressions, user queries trigger search results pages. Google calculates quality score for your keywords in real time, every single time a search is performed. Not to confuse things unnecessarily, but the quality score you see in your account is not necessarily the actual quality score awarded to your keywords in real time. One of the factors that goes into your real-time quality score is the relevance between the user's query and your keyword that triggered your ad impression. Likewise, Google also takes into account the relevancy between the query and the ad copy that's going to be triggered by the keyword. The same reasoning applies to the keyword ad text relevance we discussed just before. Google understands that the more relevant a searcher's query is to an advertiser's keyword and ad text, the more relevant and useful the ads and overall user experience is likely going to be. Careful use of dynamic keyword insertion can help with ad copy query relevance, and appropriate use of keyword match types will help ensure your keywords always remain relevant to the user's actual query. And we'll talk more about that later. I'm certainly not recommending that a traditional broad match doesn't have a place and time, but it's just something to keep in mind when optimizing for quality score. Landing page quality is the least weighted factors in calculating quality score, and most advertisers don't run into landing page issues. But the elements of landing page quality are definitely worth knowing and understanding. There are 5 primary categories of landing page relevance, or landing page quality, as it's often referred to. First and foremost, yep, you guessed it, we have landing page to keyword and ad relevance. Then we have something called landing page load time, which is really a non-issue nowadays. Then there's spiderability, transparency, and navigability. Landing page relevance is very similar to the other types of relevance we've discussed. Google wants the user to continue to have a great experience after leaving Google. After all, a referral service is only as good as the places it refers its users to. Your ad should land users on a web page that relates to what the user was looking for. If the user was asking for an answer to a question or a solution to a problem, your landing page should provide that answer or solution. Just like with ad copy, your landing page need not contain all your actual keywords. As long as the content of your landing page is thematically related to the keywords in your ad group, you'll have nothing to worry about in this area. It's also important to include enough text on your landing page for Google to recognize as relevant. There isn't a set number of characters you need to satisfy Google's bots, but if there are more images than text on your landing page, that's a fair indication that you may run into some trouble. It goes without saying, try to include actual text instead of images of text whenever possible. If I had to throw a number out there, I'd say 2 to 3 paragraphs of relevant text should be a minimum amount to ideally aim for. Remember, don't do anything dumb like repeating your keywords over and over again or make the color of your text the same as the background. Google's smarter than that and you'll get penalized. The content of your landing page should also be primarily unique to your website. If you're using manufacturer descriptions, etc., try to enhance them with your own additional content wherever possible. Landing page load time is not a problem that comes up often. Your site needs to meet a minimum threshold of page load speed. As long as it does, you've got nothing to worry about. Once again, there's no hard number for the minimum requirement, but if your site is loading normally, don't worry about it any further. If your site is excessively sluggish, talk to your hosting provider to figure out what's up. Spiderability is another factor that is usually a non-issue. Google's programs that read and index your site are called spiders. If Google can't access or read your site, they won't know what your site's about. Your robots.txt file tells the Google bots what to read or not to read. If your site was set up by a competent developer, chances are your site is spiderable. If you're using a website builder like Squarespace, WordPress, Wix, Weebly, etc., they create and submit the robots.txt file automatically for you. If you're still unsure about your site's spiderability, create or log into your free Google Webmaster Tools account, and you can check on your robots.txt file and see how it's being treated by Google's bots. Transparency won't be an issue as long as you don't do anything mischievous on your site. If you have a privacy policy, make sure it's easily accessible. Don't automatically sign up your visitors to a newsletter list without their permission, and definitely don't auto-install any software or alter their browser settings. I'm sure none of you will have any transparency issues. Navigability simply means that there's more to your site than just the landing page, which tells Google that the user will likely have other ways of finding the information they're looking for, like submitting a form, for example. Google used to require a fully navigable site with links to a Contact Us page, an About Us page, and so on and so forth, but with the advent of single-page landing pages designed for conversions, this factor of landing page quality has become less and less important. Lastly, it's worthwhile noting that while landing page quality is generally the least important factor in determining quality score, landing page violations could easily cause your ads to be disapproved, which isn't the case with a low CTR or ad copy relevance. So be careful. Submitting your site for a review each time it's disapproved is not only a headache, but multiple infractions could lead to your account being suspended. Now that we know the factors that make up each keyword's quality score, it would be nice to know exactly what percentage of a quality score each component accounts for. Unfortunately, there's no definitive answer, but it's generally agreed upon in the industry that CTR accounts for roughly 65%, relevancy factors for about 25%, and the remaining 10% is allocated to landing page factors. Just to review, the CTR portion of quality score includes ad, keyword, click-through rate history, which looks at the historical click-through rates for a given keyword and ad combination. Account CTR history, which takes a broader look at all the keywords and ads in an entire account. Display URL click-through rates, which takes into account the differences in click-through rates across your various display URLs in an ad group. And geographical CTR, which takes into account how your keyword and ad click-through rates perform in different geographical locations. Again, some of these factors are only reflected in the real-time quality score assigned at the very moment of a Google search, and not necessarily accounted for by the quality score number we see in the actual account dashboard. Relevance factors include keyword to ad relevance, which again is how reflective your keywords are to the content of the ads in the ad group. Keyword to query relevance, which again is how related the keyword that triggered the ad impression is to the actual query the user typed in. Remember using match types to help here. And keyword ad copy to landing page relevance, which once again is how relevant the keyword that triggered the ad and the text of the ad is to the topics discussed in the page users land on after clicking the ad. Lastly, we have landing page factors, which, as we discussed, deal with more technical matters like load time, navigability, spiderability, and transparency. People always ask me what a good quality score is. Like with click-through rate, there's no real answer to that. Depending on any given circumstance, optimizing for quality score may not be the most important thing, and we'll talk about those instances in a moment. There are, however, reliable guidelines you can use when assessing the health of your quality scores. As we know, quality score is rated on a 10-point scale. You can't have a quality score lower than 1 or higher than 10. If you're seeing quality scores of 1, then you're really in trouble. Chances are you're not really getting any traffic, and if you do, the costs per click will be astronomically high. We'll talk more about the relationship between CPC and quality score in a little bit. In most cases, though, you'll want to get rid of these keywords right away. Before deleting them, make sure everything is in order with your landing page or website. Oftentimes, there's a major landing page issue that's causing the 1 quality scores. Keywords in the 2 to 3 range are still bad, but they're salvageable in many cases. Costs are still significantly overpriced, and having a lot of keywords with 2 to 3 quality scores can hurt the overall quality score of the account. Spend time on these keywords, especially if they're highly integral keywords that you can't do without. It's not at all uncommon to see a lot of 4s, 5s, and 6s, especially during the first few months of a new account. You're not significantly overpaying, and you're not in any danger of being penalized. These keywords have real potential, and you should dedicate the bulk of your time optimizing them to improve their quality score. It often takes a few minor tweaks to get these keywords back on track. A quality score of 7 should be your benchmark goal. A keyword at 7 or above is above average, and you'll be saving money on cost per click. Don't kill yourself trying to improve keywords with a 7 quality score. Oftentimes, there's a roof that you simply can't get past based on your industry and other geographical factors. 8s and 9s aren't as common as 7s and 10s, believe it or not, but if you're seeing them, then great. No need to do anything more in terms of quality score for those keywords. Obviously, 10 is the most coveted quality score. You're scoring close to perfect in Google's eyes on all fronts, and you could be confident that your CPCs are at rock bottom for your given position. Of course, if your quality score is a 10 and you're paying an average of $2 for position 3, an advertiser at position 5 or 6 could very likely be paying less than you. If you only pay attention to one slide in this entire presentation, this should be it. So we now know the history of quality score, why it was implemented, and we also know all the factors that make up quality score. But the question still remains, who cares? Who cares how good or bad your quality scores are? In the previous slide, we spoke about inflated costs with low quality scores, and now we're going to really dive into what exactly that means and how it works. It all begins with an understanding of how ad rank is calculated in the post-quality score era. Like we saw a while back in our example with Brad, Ben, and Brett, the old formula used to calculate ad rank didn't account for quality score. Essentially, the highest bidder won the top slot, since max CPC bid was the most important factor in calculating ad rank. The new formula introduced to calculate ad rank changes things up dramatically, so let's see what that new formula is and what it means for advertisers and their bidding wars. The new formula for ad rank that Google introduced in 2005 was ad rank equals max CPC bid times quality score. The formula stayed that way until 2013 when Google introduced the expected impact of ad extensions on CTR as part of the ad rank formula. Google found that different sorts of ad extensions like site links, callouts, review extensions, etc. could favorably impact an ad CTR, and they included these ad extension CTR projections into the ad rank formula. But we don't know exactly how the ad rank formula changed in order to accommodate the ad extension factors. Brad Geddes of Certify Knowledge proposes that ad extensions account for about 20% of the quality score portion of the current ad rank formula. But whether or not that number is precisely accurate, we could be very confident that it's not much more than that. Because so many advertisers are using ad extensions, and because it's a pretty small factor by itself, we'll continue by evaluating some example scenarios with the primary formula, which is ad rank equals max CPC bid times quality score. Let's create a sample auction with some of our old friends, but now we'll add a couple of women into the auction. So in this example, we're going to have Brad, Beth, Brett, Ben, and Brenda all bidding on the same keyword. For the sake of the example, let's assume that there are only 4 available ad slots on this particular search results page, so only 4 of these 5 advertisers are going to win an ad spot at this auction. So let's say Brad sets his max CPC bid at $9, Beth sets hers at $7, Brett is willing to pay no more than $6.25, Ben's max is $3, and Brenda is the most frugal bidder at $2 for her max CPC. Now let's make up some quality scores for these folks. Brad gets a quality score of 1, Beth lands a 3, Brett gets a perfectly respectable 7, Ben is mediocre with a 5, and Brenda hits the jackpot with a 10 quality score. Now, let's calculate the respective ad rank so we can determine their position. Remember, we get ad rank by simply multiplying the max bid by quality score. So Brad's ad rank is a 9, Beth's is a 21, Brett's ad rank is 43.75, Ben has an ad rank of 15, and finally Brenda with an ad rank of 20. Now that we've calculated the ad rank for each advertiser in the auction, we can determine their positions on the search results page. Remember, in our example here, there are only 4 available ad slots. So Brett wins the coveted top spot on the page, even though there were 2 advertisers in the auction willing to pay more than him for a click. Since he was serving a higher quality ad, he was able to take the first spot with his 7 quality score. Beth takes the second spot on the page, beating other high quality ads like Ben and Brenda, since she was willing to pay substantially more for a click. Brenda, who is willing to pay the least for a click, wins spot number 3 since she's serving such a high quality ad. And Ben wins spot number 4 with his combination of bid and quality score. Interestingly, Brad, who was willing to pay a whopping $9 for a click, gets snubbed altogether and doesn't get any spot on the page, because although his bid was the highest, his quality score was so low that his ad rank wound up being worse than everyone else's. This helps us understand how crucial quality scores are, even before getting into the formula for determining actual cost per click, which we'll get to in a moment. Let's think about it. Let's say Beth went to work on her quality score by rewriting her ads and putting together a more relevant landing page, and she got her quality score up to a 7. Now, instead of a 21, her ad rank would be a 49, and she would win the top spot from Brett without increasing her bid at all. Purely on the basis of improving her quality score, she was able to change her ad position. And if, for example, Brenda was to let her quality score slip from a 10 to a 5, her ad rank would turn into a 10 and she'd lose her spot to Ben. So now we could really see how the new ad rank formula really puts a huge emphasis on quality score on a very practical level. We see how connected your ad position is to how Google perceives the quality of the ad you're offering in the auction. But position isn't the only thing that quality score affects. We know that your max CPC bid isn't the actual price you pay for a click. It's simply the most you're willing to pay for a click. Quality score plays a huge role in how much you actually end up paying for a click, and as promised, let's take a look at how your actual CPC is determined and what role quality score plays in that area of the auction. So I just reset the original numbers here and reordered the advertisers in order of ad rank. We've got Brett in spot number 1, Beth in spot number 2, Brenda in third place, Ben in fourth, and Brad the loser knocked out of the running for this particular auction. Google sets up their auction that an advertiser could bid the maximum they are willing to pay for a click, but they only have to actually pay the minimum amount needed to maintain their position, or in other words, the minimum they would need to beat the advertiser directly below them. From a mathematical perspective, as explained by Google's chief economist Hal Varian, you have P1, the price advertiser 1 has to pay, with Q1, that advertiser's quality score, and that's going to be just enough to beat B1, the bid of the advertiser below him, and Q2, the quality score of the advertiser below him. To solve this equation, you get P1 equals the ad rank of the advertiser below him, which is his bid multiplied by his quality score, divided by the quality score of advertiser 1. In other words, your actual cost per click is the ad rank to beat, or the ad rank of the advertiser right below you, divided by your quality score. So let's figure out what our guys and girls here would actually have to pay Google for an ad click. To figure out Brett's actual CPC, we take 21, which is the ad rank of the advertiser with the ad rank directly below him, and we divide it by 7. So Brett's actual CPC is $3. Beth's actual CPC is calculated by taking Brenda's ad rank and dividing it by 3, which is Beth's quality score, and that gives us an actual CPC of $6.66. And the same thing goes for Brenda and Ben, giving us an actual CPC of $1.50 for Brenda and $1.80 for Brad. Let's just say, for example, there were 5 ad slots available, and only these 5 advertisers in the auction, then Brad would indeed win the 5th spot, but since there isn't any ad rank below him, he'd have to pay a minimum click price determined by Google. But let's take a look here, and we could see some really interesting things. The first thing you probably noticed is that the number 1 spot on the page isn't paying the most for a click. Brett's paying just $3 for a click in position 1, which is more than half the click price Beth has to pay to remain in position 2. And that's purely because of Brett's higher quality score. We see a similar thing down below with Brenda and Ben, but just with less disparity between their actual CPCs. So we see what a huge role your keyword level quality score actually plays in determining how much you end up paying for an ad click. Now let's take a look at this a little further. Say Beth improves her quality score and she turns her 3 into a 6. So now her ad rank is a 42. She's still in position 2 on the results page because her ad rank is still lower than Brett's, but look what happens to her actual CPC. Now when we divide 20, which is the ad rank to beat, by 6, her quality score, we get an actual CPC of $3.33, half of what she was paying before. So by increasing her quality score by a few points, she's able to drastically lower her actual CPC. Now let's take a look at Brenda. Brenda can't increase her quality score any more than a 10, so is she paying the absolute minimum possible to maintain her position number 3? Well, yes and no. In this example, she's paying the lowest possible CPC to maintain position 3, but theoretically, if Ben's quality score was a 4 instead of a 5, which would make his ad rank a 12, Brenda would then only have to pay $1.20 per click. And this highlights the mechanics of the auction. The quality of the ads being served by the competitors in any given auction makes a really big difference in the actual CPCs you have to pay. Like we just saw with Brenda and Ben, the worse Ben's quality score is, the cheaper Brenda's clicks become, since Brenda only has to pay the minimum to keep her ad spot over Ben. Now what if Brenda wants to do better? What could she do? She already has a 10 quality score and can't improve that anymore. But what she could do is raise her max CPC bid. So say she raises her max CPC bid to $4. She doubles it. Now what happens? Her ad rank jumps up to a 40, but she's still in position 3. She still pays $1.20 a click, even though she doubled her bid, because $1.20 is still all she needs in order to beat Ben. But did anything else happen to any of the other advertisers? Yes. Beth could no longer just pay $3.33 to beat Brenda. Now, if we divide Brenda's new ad rank, which is 40, by Beth's quality score, which is 6, Beth's actual CPC jumps way back up to $6.66. Pretty amazing. If Beth raises her max CPC bid to $5 instead of 4, she'd have an ad rank of 50 and automatically take the top spot, and the actual CPCs of all the other advertisers would have to be calculated again from the top. Of course, we can never know the ad ranks of the advertisers below us or above us, so we never actually know what anybody else's actual CPCs are going to be. The important thing is to appreciate the influence of quality score on actual click prices and to be acutely aware of our quality scores when assessing the health of your account and the costs you're paying for clicks. The better your quality score is, the cheaper your clicks are going to be. We're drawing close to the end of this first chapter in our quest to better quality scores, but there's a few more important things I wanted to cover. To those of you who've made it this far, you guys are real troopers, and I hope it's been at least a little helpful and not a total waste of your time. We briefly mentioned earlier that there are certain times it's okay to ignore quality scores. Let's take a closer look at some of the more common situations where these exceptions apply. The most common exception to the quality score rules are what I call pains. It doesn't really stand for anything specific, besides for painfully annoying and inconsistent number syndrome, but we call them that because these are instances that can't be understood by any logical boundaries. Sometimes the plural version of a keyword will have half the quality score of the singular version of that keyword in the same ad group. There's no logical reason why that should be the case. Sometimes adding a prefix or a suffix to a word changes the quality score dramatically, like sofa covers and sofa coverings. These instances and others that have no rhyme or reason can be very frustrating as you continuously try and fail to optimize for quality score. In these cases, you should try a few tests, and if you don't see any positive results, just walk away. Whether or not that means removing the troublesome keyword is a question that needs to be addressed on a case-by-case basis. New accounts and new lists of keywords. Every new keyword is assigned a default quality score that is not necessarily reflective of the quality score your new keywords will have tomorrow or the day after. You need to wait a little bit before making any assumptions about the health of a new keyword's quality score. As a rule, I don't begin worrying about quality scores before a keyword has at least 1,000 to 1,500 impressions, with 100 to 250 clicks. Once the keywords and ad group has accrued some actionable data, then you can start taking a look at how good or bad your quality scores are. However, if your account indicates that there's an issue with your landing page, that's something that you should take a look at right away. In most cases, landing page issues that are diagnosed right away don't go away with time. We've seen a number of cases where there's quite literally an industry glass ceiling you hit with quality scores. The legal, financial, and pharmaceutical industries are familiar with this issue. Some of these industries have gotten a bad reputation with Google after a deluge of advertisers sending traffic to shady and untrustworthy sites. As a result, Google adopted a guilty until proven innocent policy with certain keywords. We've run into this obstacle with our clients a number of times, where no matter what we did, we couldn't get past a 3 or a 4 quality score. In these cases, we persisted and we eventually were able to improve our quality scores dramatically over time. If you suspect something like this is happening in your account, reach out to a Google rep and ask them to take a further look. If you see a lot of 3 quality scores and you're averaging a position 1 to 3, you could be fairly certain that this is the issue you're running into. Google won't generally show 3 quality scores above the organic results, and if they are, you're most likely advertising in one of the blacklisted industries. If that's the case, keep on trucking. Don't worry about inflated click prices, because chances are your competitors are averaging the same quality scores and CPCs as you are. It's common for companies to serve ads when people search for a competitor's name. In fact, we've seen some excellent results with these sorts of campaigns for our clients. It's a great opportunity to highlight your sales and promotions in an ethical way, as long as you're not claiming to be the other company or denigrating their products or services. Since Google knows the user searched specifically for a company that is not yours, you'll almost always see low quality scores on these keywords. For example, if someone searches Google for State Farm motorcycle insurance and Geico targets the keyword State Farm, Geico is going to get slapped with a low quality score. Once again, whether or not you should continue to run these sorts of campaigns with low quality scores has to be assessed on an individual basis. This kind of problem can arise even when you're not specifically targeting your competition. If you sell a product that has the same name as a well-known company, you might see low quality scores for that product's keywords. In most of these cases, simply ignore the low quality scores, unless as a result, your keywords are no longer profitable. We talked earlier about the inability to track historical quality scores within an AdWords account. In other words, you can't see how your quality score has changed over time. In larger accounts, it's also difficult to find the areas of your account in which quality score is suffering the most. There are ways to accomplish both of these things manually, and we'll cover both those things in the next video. But there's an extraordinary tool available I wanted to show you that can make your life so much easier. Optimizer is a multidimensional PPC tool with a ton of different features, But one of the most useful tools they offer is the ability to track historical quality score and diagnose problematic quality score areas in a cinch. I'm going to take you inside the Optimizer dashboard right now, but if you're serious about managing your AdWords account, I highly recommend signing up for an Optimizer account. Their prices are very reasonable, and the time you'll save makes the monthly cost well worth it. You can find a link to their website in the video description below. Now let's take a look at their quality score tracker tool. So here we are in the Optimizer Historical Quality Score tool. We're seeing real data from one of our clients' accounts. At the top, we can see the overall account level quality score and how it's changed over the selected date range. In this instance, we see the overall quality score was down from a 7.6 to a 7.4. Not a very significant change. I'm not usually concerned with the account level quality score for two reasons. One, it doesn't tell you where you need to optimize, and two, since we're always testing new keyword ideas that often start off with medium to low quality scores, those testing areas will be reflected in the overall quality score of the entire account. The Daily Trends panel below shows us how different key performance indicators like average CPC, clicks, CTR, conversions, cost per conversion, conversion rate, average position have changed with changes in quality score. Down here, we have keyword spread and quality score distribution. The keyword spread does a great job at showing you the overall health of your account. In this case, we're in really good shape with a very strong presence of 7s, 8s, and 9s. If I roll over the bar chart, I can see exactly how many keywords in the account have a quality score of a specific number. But even though I know this account is healthy, I also know there are some areas that could use some work. That's why the Add Groups to Optimize section over here is really helpful. I can see which ad groups are averaging low quality scores and how much those ad groups are spending. I see that the ad group named Conversion Lasso is spending a fair amount of money and it has an average quality score of 4.7. So I want to do some work on quality score in that ad group. If I click on it, I can see all this data again, but instead of seeing the data at the account level, I'm now only seeing historical quality score data for the ad group I want to optimize. Right off the bat, I see that the work we've been doing so far has paid off. This has been a really hard ad group, and we've been able to get the average from a 3 to almost a 5. That's substantial growth right there. Down at the keyword spread, I can see that we don't have a very strong showing for keywords with better quality scores in this ad group. Further down, I can see the specific keywords in the ad group, their quality scores, and their respective costs. If I want to see the historical quality score for a different date range, all I have to do is change the date range selector up here and click refresh. This is one of the optimizer tools we use most often, and I can't tell you how much time and energy it saved us in keeping track and optimizing quality scores across hundreds of accounts. Like I said before, you don't need Optimizer to track historical quality score data. In the next video, I'll show you how you can use advanced AdWords scripts to take scheduled snapshots of your quality scores. But this is just a really cool, useful, and advanced tool that does all that and a lot more. Check it out. I think you guys will really love it. As much as I hate to say it, all good things must come to an end, and I think this has to be just about the end of Chapter 1 on Quality Score. In the next video, we're going to cover advanced techniques for diagnosing quality score issues in larger accounts, and we'll also spend a lot of time in actual accounts to figure out practical ways to increase quality scores affected by a number of different issues. In the meantime, I think we covered a lot of ground, and I hope you've come away with some more information than when we started. We learned about quality score philosophy, and the idea that Google's primary goal is to create a symbiotic relationship between the advertiser, the user, with the concept of relevancy reigning supreme. We learned about the importance of creating a great user experience even after leaving the Google results page. We learned how the ad auction works and how ad rank was calculated before quality score was introduced. We learned about the 4 components of quality score: CTR, keyword ad relevance, keyword query relevance, and landing page quality, and the different factors that comprise each of them. We learned the general guidelines for determining the health of your quality scores. We analyzed how ad rank is currently calculated, and we saw how quality score affects your average position and your actual costs per click. We took a look at common scenarios when it's okay to ignore low quality scores, and we took a brief look at Optimizer's historical quality score tracker tool. In all seriousness, I really appreciate you taking the time to watch this presentation. There's a lot of things you could be doing with your time, and it means a lot to us here that you chose to spend some of it with us. Please leave any comments or questions you may have down below, and I'll do my best to get back to you as soon as possible. If you need any help with your PPC campaigns, don't hesitate to give us a call or reach out to us through our website. There'll be a link in the video description. Sharing our video on YouTube, Google+, and Facebook would be a tremendous help to us, so if you don't mind taking the time to do that, we'd really appreciate it. We're always working on new tutorials, so don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on any new uploads. Goodbye for now, and I look forward to seeing you all again next time.